Dr. Myles Munroe once said, God uses the ego as a symbol of leadership, vision, and greatness. Eagles don't fly with sparrows. They don't eat dead things. They don't fear storms. They use them to fly higher. And when I learned these 7 principles of the ego, everything about how I saw leadership, purpose, and my own potential changed. Because God didn't create you to be a chicken. He created you to soar. Good morning, everyone. This is Jenny France podcast. I'm Jenny France, and welcome to today's episode. This is where we talk about real growth, real struggles, and real lessons that actually change your life, and it's all about impact. Dr. Myles Munroe was one of the greatest teachers on leadership and purpose, and one of the most powerful teachings he shared was about the ego. He studied the behavior of eagles and discovered 7 principles that separate eagles from every other bird. And these principles are not just about birds, they're about how God designed you to live. Today I'm breaking down all 7 principles of the ego, what Dr. Myles Munroe taught about each one, and what I personally learned from applying them to my life. If you've been living like a chicken when God created you to be an eagle, this episode is for you. Let's get into it. The first principle: eagles fly alone. Eagles don't fly with sparrows or chickens. They fly alone. They don't lower their altitude to accommodate birds that can't reach their heights. Loneliness comes with success. Your circle determines your altitude. If you are surrounded by people who are comfortable with mediocrity, you will stay mediocre. If you are surrounded by people who don't dream big, you will shrink your dream to fit theirs. I had to stop spending time with people who couldn't fly at my level, not because I thought I was better than them, but because I couldn't afford to stay grounded when God was calling me for higher. Proverbs 13 verse 20 says, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." And Steve Jobs understood this. When he started Apple, he didn't surround himself with people who thought small. He recruited the best engineers, the best designers, the best minds in technology. And he once said, it doesn't make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. He knew that greatness requires being around greatness. You can't soar with eagles if you are surrounded by chickens. You have to choose your circle carefully. And sometimes that means flying alone until you find other eagles. The second principle: eagles possess vision. An eagle is the only bird that can fly very high and still see in details. If you are gonna be a success, you must be aware of everything but only focused on one thing. No matter what befalls the eagle, winds, trees, storms, the eagle is still focused. Eagles are not distracted by pigeons. Eagles have the sharpest vision in the animal kingdom. They can see their prey from miles away. They focus on the target and lock in. Nothing distracts them. Vision is everything. If you don't know where you are going, you will wander aimlessly. If you don't have a clear target, you will waste your time chasing distractions. I realized I was living without vision for some time. I was just going through the motions, reacting to life without creating it. No goals, no clarity, no focus. The Bible says in Proverbs chapter 29 verse 18, where there is no vision, the people perish. Now let's look at the life of Walt Disney. He had a vision no one else did. When he pitched the idea of Disneyland, bankers rejected him 302 times. People called him crazy. They said, an amusement park? That will never work. But Disney could see it. He had a vision so clear that rejection couldn't shake it. He said, if you can dream it, you can do it. And today, Disneyland is one of the most visited places on earth because he locked in on his vision and didn't let go. Without vision, you are just surviving. But with vision, you are building a future. I had to get clear on what God called me to do. I had to write down my vision and make it plain. Focus on it and eliminate everything that didn't align with it. Because egos don't get distracted, and neither should you. The third principle: egos only eat live food. Egos don't eat dead things. Dr. Myles Munroe said, egos hunt for fresh prey. They don't scavenge. They don't eat what's already dead and decaying like vultures do. They only consume what's alive and fresh. Vultures eat dead meat. Egos only eat live food. That means I must feed myself with new information, not depending on old peace or any forgotten information. Stop eating dead things. Stop feeding on dead things, dead relationships, dead dreams, dead habits, dead mindsets. Friendship. Stop holding on to their cause, plans that were no longer God's will, bitterness from past hurts. And that is why the Bible says in Philippians chapter 3, 13 to 14, forgetting what is behind and straining forward toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, 27 good years. And when he was finally released, people expected him to be bitter, angry, and vengeful. But instead, he said, as I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison. My God. God, this is an ego speaking. He refused to feed on the dead thing of past hurts. He let it go. And because of that, he became one of the greatest leaders in history. You have to let go of what is dead. Stop recycling old pain. Stop replaying old failures. Stop holding on to expired sessions or seasons. Feed on fresh vision, fresh purpose, fresh grace. The fourth principle: egos love the storm. Yes, the ego uses the storm to relax. The ego rests on what people run from. Egos love challenges because challenges makes them strong. When a storm comes, other birds run and hide, but egos fly directly into the storm. They use the wind from the storm to lift them above it. The storm doesn't destroy the ego, it elevates the ego. Don't run from the storm, use it. Every struggle I faced, every attack I endured, every difficult season I went through, it wasn't there to destroy me. It was there to elevate me. Oprah Winfrey was born into poverty, abused as a child, told she wasn't good enough for television. Every obstacle was a storm trying to ground her. But instead of running from the storms, she used them. She turned her pain into purpose, her struggle into strength, her rejection into resilience. And she once said to turn your wounds into wisdom. The storm reveals what you are made of. And if you let it, it will push you higher than you've ever been. Stop avoiding hard seasons. Fly into them. Let them lift you. The fifth principle: egos test before they trust. Before an ego commits to a mate, it tests them. The female ego will pick up a twig, fly high into the air and drop it. The male ego must catch it before it hits the ground. She does this over and over, flying higher each time. Why? Because she's testing whether he can handle the pressure, whether he's committed, whether he's reliable. Don't commit yourself to people who you haven't had the time to test. Don't waste your time on people who don't have an interest in your commitment. If you are gonna be a leader, you must be a tester. Trust is a result of time and test. Learn to test before you trust. Don't commit to people who haven't proven themselves. Egos don't move like that. They test before they trust. They watch, they pay attention to consistency, not just charm. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, has a simple rule when choosing business partners. He watches their character over time. He doesn't rush into deals. He doesn't trust based on first impressions. He once said, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. He tests before he trusts. And that's why he's surrounded by reliable people. Stop giving your trust, your time, your energy, your resources to people who haven't proven they can handle it. Learn to test before you trust. Watch before you commit, and don't feel bad about protecting yourself. The sixth principle: eagles prepare their young for flight. When it's time for the eagles to learn to fly, the mother eagle makes the nest uncomfortable. She removes the soft padding and exposes the thorns underneath. She stirs up the nest until the young eagles have no choice but to leave. And then as they fall, she flies beneath them, catches them on her wings, and lifts them up. She does this over and over until they learn to fly on their own. Sometimes discomfort is preparation. God is stirring the nest. Elon Musk could have stayed comfortable after selling PayPal for millions. He was set for life. He could have retired at 30, but comfort wasn't his goal. Progress was. So he took everything he made and invested it into SpaceX and Tesla, two companies everyone said would fail. He risked it all. He made himself uncomfortable on purpose, and today he's one of the most influential people on the planet. He didn't stay comfortable in the nest. He jumped. If your life is uncomfortable right now, maybe it's not punishment and it's just a preparation. The seventh principle, which is the last one: eagles renew themselves. Eagles remove weakness. When an eagle gets old and weak, it doesn't just die. It goes through a renewal process. It flies to a high mountain, plucks out its old feathers, breaks off its old beak and talons, and waits for new ones to grow. And this is a painful process, but it's necessary, because the eagle would rather go through the pain of renewal than live in weakness. Go back to your quiet place when you feel frustrated. Go back to where your dreams first started, and you'll be renewed like an eagle. You can't become who God called you to be while holding on to who you used to be. Sometimes growth requires breaking. Renewal requires pain. Transformation requires you letting things go. Don't be afraid of the process. The eagle that emerges is stronger than the one that went in. Dr. Myles Munroe taught that God doesn't call you to be ordinary. He calls you to be an eagle. And eagles don't fly, and eagles don't live like chickens. They fly alone if they have to. They lock in on their vision. They don't feed on dead things. They use storms to go higher. They test before they trust. They prepare for the next level, and they remove weakness and renew themselves. And this is not just a principle for birds. This is a blueprint for greatness. And if you apply these 7 principles to your life, you won't just survive, you will soar. So here is my challenge to you. Stop living like a chicken when God created you to be an eagle. Stop flying with people who can't reach your altitude. Get clear on your vision and lock in. Let go of dead things. Use a storm to lift you higher. Test before you trust. Embrace the uncomfortable seasons because they are preparing you. And be willing to break off the old you to become the new you. Isaiah 40 verse 31 says, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles." You were created to soar. So stop settling for the ground. Which principle are you implementing on immediately? And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more edifying content. This is where I'll be drawing the curtain for today. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode, and of course, see you in the next one.